In the age of satellites, smartphones, airplanes, GPS, live streams from space, and weather images of the entire planet, there are still people who believe the Earth is flat. And honestly, every time I think about that, I have the same reaction. How? Not 2,000 years ago, not before modern science. Today, in the 21st century. The strange part is not just believing that the Earth is flat. The strange part is believing that almost every scientist, engineer, astronaut, satellite operator, teacher, ship captain, and airline company on Earth is lying, while one guy on the internet somehow figured it all out. That is the part that fascinates me, because this video is not really about the shape of the Earth. We already know the shape of the Earth. This video is about something much more interesting. How does an idea this weak survive in a world with this much evidence? Flat Earth believers do not all agree on one exact model. That is already a problem. Some imagine the world as a flat disk with the Arctic in the center and Antarctica as a giant wall around the edge. Some believe space agencies are hiding the truth. Some believe every photo of Earth from space is fake. Some believe gravity is not real or that the entire flat world is somehow accelerating upward. And when you ask basic questions, the answers usually become more complicated, not less. How do time zones work? Why do stars look different in the southern hemisphere? Why do ships disappear bottom first over the horizon? Why can people fly around the world? Every simple question requires another excuse, and that is usually a sign that a theory is not explaining reality. It is protecting itself from reality. The funny thing is, you do not need a rocket to understand that Earth is not flat. People figured this out long before modern satellites. Ancient observers noticed shadows, stars, lunar eclipses, and the way ships disappeared at sea. One of the simplest examples is the horizon. When a ship sails away, it does not simply get smaller until it vanishes like a flat object moving into the distance. The bottom disappears first, then the middle, then the top. That is exactly what you would expect on a curved surface. Another example is the moon during a lunar eclipse. Earth's shadow on the moon is round. Not sometimes. Not from one special angle. Again and again, the shadow is curved. Then there are time zones. When it is daytime in one part of the world, it is night in another. That is not a small detail. That is something every person can observe in daily life. So the real mystery is not whether the evidence exists. The evidence is everywhere. The mystery is why some people refuse to accept it. Flat Earth did not survive because it has strong evidence. It survived because the internet gave it oxygen. And I think this is where the story becomes more serious. A person watches one video questioning NASA. Then the algorithm recommends another, then another, then another. After a few hours, that person does not feel like they are watching random videos anymore. They feel like they are researching. But research is not just watching content that agrees with you. Research means looking for the strongest evidence on both sides and being willing to change your mind. Flat Earth content often does the opposite. It creates a closed world where every expert is fake, every institution is corrupt, every image is edited, and every disagreement is proof of a cover-up. That is not research. That is a belief system with a search bar. Here is the uncomfortable part. Flat Earth can make people feel smart, not because the idea is smart, but because it gives the believer a powerful feeling. The feeling that everyone else is asleep and you are awake. The feeling that the world is full of sheep, but you saw through the lie. I think that is one reason this belief is so hard to kill. It is not just about Earth. It becomes part of a person's identity. If someone has built their personality around being the person who knows the hidden truth, then admitting they were wrong feels like losing status. It feels embarrassing. So instead of saying, maybe I was wrong, they double down. More videos, more excuses, more conspiracies. And suddenly, the shape of the Earth is no longer a scientific question. It becomes an ego question. Can I admit that I believed something ridiculous? For many people, that is harder than the evidence itself. There is another problem that Flat Earth believers rarely explain well. The conspiracy would have to be impossibly large. It would not just involve NASA. It would involve every major space agency in the world. It would involve rival governments that do not even like each other. It would involve airline pilots, ship navigators, satellite companies, military systems, weather agencies, universities, engineers, map makers, physics teachers, and probably thousands of ordinary workers who would all have to keep the same secret forever. And for what? What is the reward? Why would every country on Earth cooperate perfectly on this one lie while they cannot agree on basic politics? That is the part where the theory collapses for me. A small conspiracy is possible. Humans lie all the time. But a global conspiracy involving millions of people, across generations, across enemies, across industries, with no real leak and no clear reason? That is not skepticism. That is fantasy. A lot of flat Earth arguments sound convincing only because they use simple questions in a misleading way. They ask, why does the ground look flat? Well, because Earth is huge and we are tiny. A basketball looks curved in your hands, but if you were an ant standing on it, the surface around you would look almost flat. They ask, why can I not feel the Earth spinning? Because constant motion does not feel the same as acceleration. You can sit in a smooth airplane moving hundreds of miles per hour and feel almost nothing until it changes speed or direction. They ask, why does water not fall off the Earth? Because gravity pulls matter toward Earth's center, not toward the bottom of a picture in your head. And this is the pattern. The questions sound simple. The real answers require a little physics. And if someone already distrusts science, they choose the simple wrong answer over the complicated right one. This is also why flat Earth is perfect for internet arguments. It is simple enough for anyone to comment on. It is absurd enough to make people angry. And it is personal enough that believers feel attacked when the idea is criticized. That combination creates endless engagement. One person writes, NASA is lying. Another person replies, go outside and look at a ship. Then someone brings up Antarctica. Then someone brings up the moon landing. Then suddenly the comment section becomes a war zone, and the algorithm does not care who is correct. It cares that people are staying, arguing, replying, and watching. That is why bad ideas can survive online even after they lose every serious argument. Attention can keep a theory alive long after evidence should have buried it. So why do people still believe in flat Earth? I do not think there is only one answer. Some people are genuinely confused. Some distrust institutions. Some want to feel special. Some are trapped in online communities where leaving the belief means losing friends, identity, and purpose. And some people, honestly, just enjoy being contrarian. But the bigger lesson is this. Flat Earth is not dangerous because it changes the shape of the planet. It is dangerous because it changes the way people decide what is true. If every expert is fake, every source is propaganda, every image is edited, and every correction is part of the conspiracy, then there is no way to learn anything. At that point, truth becomes whatever makes you feel smarter than everyone else. And that is not curiosity. That is a trap. For me, the Flat Earth movement is not really a story about astronomy. It is a story about trust. It is a story about ego. And it is a story about how the internet can turn doubt into identity. The Earth is not flat. That part is not the mystery. The mystery is how an idea this easy to disprove still finds people willing to defend it. And maybe that says less about the planet and more about us. What do you think? Why do ideas like this survive? Write your opinion in the comments.